Welcome to Make, Thrift, or Mend, a series where I try to fill holes in my closet without succumbing to the temptation of fast fashion. My first project is cropping this cardigan to make it align with my style a little bit more. I thrifted this cardigan for like $8 a few months ago, partially because I thought the ladybug embroidery was super cute, but also I think this style of like a higher necked cardigan is really trendy right now, and I wanted to participate. My first step is going to be folding the cardigan under to see exactly where I want it to lay on my body once I'm finished cropping it. Then I measure the bottom cuff because I want that to be present in my final cardigan. In this case, my cuff is 2 inches, and I'm going to add that to the length that I'm going to be cutting off in the cardigan. So what I'm actually going to do is measure an extra 2 inches above where I placed my pin so that I give room for the cuff and the finished measurement will be perfect. I'm doing the same thing on the other side of the cardigan so that my measurement is even throughout the entire hem of the cardigan. Be pretty meticulous here. I wasn't, and I definitely paid for it in the long run. I think that this project took me probably twice as long as it needed to, and it's because I didn't carefully measure the hem. Now we're going to press this fold line, which is on the finished measurement, with an iron so that we can mark which line needs to meet the bottom of the cuff. It's kind of hard to record myself ironing, so you're just going to have to take my word that I did it. Now that we have this guideline, we are going to fold up the cuff so that the bottom line of the cuff matches the folded line that we have. Finally, pin your fabric in place all along the bottom, and we're ready to get started with sewing. I want to sew right along this line here so that it looks as natural as possible. When you're sewing stretch fabrics, you want to use a narrow zigzag stitch instead of a straight stitch, and that is because when you use a straight stitch on stretchy fabric, as the fabric stretches, those stitches often break. But if you use a zigzag stitch, then usually they won't break, and the zigzag stitch allows the stitches to stretch with the fabric. My next step is trying on the cardigan and making sure all the buttons align. This process took me a couple tries because, like I said, I didn't really measure that hem as meticulously as I should have. I just kept making small adjustments to the seam until I was pretty happy with how the buttons were laying. Next, I'm going to cut off this extra piece of fabric. I'm cutting as close to my finished edge as possible because we don't want a bunch of excess bulky fabric in the finished cardigan. Now I'm going to iron the seam in place with the extra fabric on the back pointing up so that we can do some top stitching. For the top stitching, I'm going to use a double pointed needle, but you can also just use a zigzag stitch. A double pointed needle provides a similar aesthetic to what the cardigan looked like originally, but if you don't already have one, I don't recommend going out to buy one unless you know you're going to use it again. Here's the finished cardigan. Was it worth thrifting and mending, or should I have just bought fast fashion?